Today we're going to be looking at a scenario where China and Russia go to war. So these countries are both in the top 4 countries. And yeah. So right now we see China being the aggressor and having the first attack. So they're gonna go in these more populated areas of Russia, sticking around the coast. So if you don't know, most of Russia's population is here, and like no one lives. And there's some people who live here and here, so they want to take out this area which is a bit more populated, and they don't see that much resistance at all. And yeah, and now they're gonna make an interesting move, declaring war on Mongolia. If you don't know, Mongolia is kind of like just like a buffer state between China and Russia. So and it's really weak. Yeah, I mean in the 12 and 1300, it was huge or massive. Low tape buffet. Fun fact, Mongolia has more horses than people. I have no clue what the capital of Mongolia is, and they're just easily or just gonna swipe Mongolia until the Russians shows up, and it's gonna look like this. I see some Russians take out this area. But most of the troops are right here, so they can just easily walk. I mean, not. And there's a ton of fighting here. And China does have complete naval dominance over Russia, so they can make a landing. I think it's called Sakhalin. They're gonna fully annex it. Now they could make a landing on the tip here. But that's not gonna happen now. So if you don't know, Russia supplies on China like a lot. They kinda need them. So now with everything being cut off, it's gonna be rough for them. So they completely take over Mongolia. And now one of China's biggest enemies gonna join. Well, not kind of enemy. The kind of enemies, it's Vietnam. The government isn't too far off, but the people don't like each other like at all. And I think like at one point Vietnam invading Cambodia, and Cambodia is their ally, so they attacked and nothing happened. But anyway, after this happens, we see Cambodia and Laos join on the side of China. Huh? Confused. Anyway, Vietnam already kind of expected this to happen, so they're gonna send their troops into Cambodia anyways, and parts of Laos. And China's so not surprised. Surprised by this. There's gonna be a tiny invasion by Vietnam, and I'm just gonna view out. China's gonna send some troops from here down to here to fight Vietnam. So when we see that happening, Vietnam is just a bit cooked. Yeah, I mean, China is gonna have a time. Is gonna invade this much that Vietnam is gonna use the secret weapon. It's called jungle warfare, and ton of people dies. A ton of people dies in all of these countries. Around then we see Belarus thrown on the side of Russia. Yeah, and we also see a bit of a pushback right here, but Laos is still being invaded, and they just surrender. I could get someone else involved, like the Philippines, but for now, we see North Korea joining, and no one else. Japan and South Korea don't want to join because that's World War III, and they don't. As much as they don't like China, they also don't really like Russia. Japan probably is against this more, and India isn't gonna join because that is just mean like that. That would just make it so there'll be way too much death, and we don't. And India is won't do that. So I'm just trying to. Okay. Now let's go back to the front line here. Russia's gonna push back because of the troops and kick out China here. But then right after that, there's just like a ton of Chinese troops until. Okay, and right here we see a Russian enemy joining. That is gonna be Finland. If you didn't know, Finland used to have land here, here, and here. Then Russia took it from them in the Winter War. Yeah, in the Winter War. So we see that happening again. And Finnish troops, I'm gonna turn my brush down smaller, are gonna instantly come in and retake some of the old land. I am gonna color in Crimea. And yeah. So, China's just gonna push through again. And now we see Kazakhstan joining. There's really not too many reasons. I mean, they're under influence and Armenia joins because, yeah. Now we see landing over here and now we see a few landings over here on the tip of Siberia, and they all come into one group and they take over the rest of Siberia and they flood up the Russian coast. And yeah, it really isn't looking too good for Russia right now. But one area that we do have the blue team winning is over here in this area. So on my heart, China's not doing that good of stuff right here and here. So it basically gonna be free because no one is gonna be fighting back. And this is the only area China has is losing in. Other than over here we see Thailand, I mean Laos, fully getting fully liberated. And Vietnam losing more land. Yeah, so before this becomes a swipe, we see Taiwan joining and the Philippines. Anyway, now that the Philippines and Taiwan joined, we can now, the naval stuff will be way more important. And now we have the Filipino Navy and the Chinese Navy. As we see, Taiwan is kind of lonely. By that I mean, when people supply Taiwan, they can't because, you know, because it's fully surrounded by the Chinese Navy, and China's gonna make a few landings and taking the more populated part of Taiwan. Then we see Taiwan getting flooded. And the biggest navy in the world is gonna be showing what's the biggest navy and the second strongest or tied for first. And it's gonna be surrounding this big island. And it's gonna make a landing on it. And when this happens, the Philippines is really cooked. Yeah. The Filipino Navy, I don't think it's bad, but China just has a superior navy. Now, up here in Europe, we see Finland cutting off this part of Russia and focusing on it. And eventually they're just gonna take it out and they're gonna get a stalemate here and no movement is gonna happen in Finland. And now we see a landing here and here. And And Russia is really unstable right now. They have a fairly weak government in this scenario, but they will be able to take this out and take this area out with Kazakhstan. And we see Russia trying to invade China over here. Yeah, they can hold on to it, but only like this area. And now, in Vietnam, Chinese troops are gonna make a landing here. And yeah, they're gonna make a landing here, cutting it into two. And some Lao forces are gonna go down here. And Cambodia is gonna be re-liberated. And Vietnam surrenders. So before most of China's troops were up here, and now these troops can freely go down here. So half of the Chinese troops are up here, and 25 of them are here and here. But now they took Vietnam out, they can fully focus on the Philippines. Alright, I'm going too quick. The Philippines has a naval defeat and are just outnumbered. And now the Chinese Navy just dominates the Filipino Navy. And yeah, it doesn't go so well anymore. And there is a landing on the other big island right here and here. At this point, the Philippines just surrenders. Just ignore the blue. Now there's about 1.3 million troops here. No, like 1.5 and like 700,000 on over here. And yeah, they're good to put good use. As the overwhelming amount of troops is really not the best. And the second China starts invading Kazakhstan and taking 1/3 of the country, they're gonna leave the war. Yeah, so we see that happening. Now it's just Russia they have to deal with. And they've been destroying Russia, and once they make the landing back here, they fully connect. And Russia has to send some to deal with Finland. And they're cooked. They're literally cooked. Even troops here start to invade them. And they're just kind of showing that Russia is... I just dropped my mouse. So now it's literally proven that Russia is definitely not the second strongest country. It was already proved when they invaded Ukraine, like more than 3 years ago. In 3 months, it will be 4. No, like 3.5. Anyway, even Finland makes some moves up here. And now, after a bit more invading, Russia surrenders. And we see, oh, then we see the red team winning this war. And and let's look at this peace treaty. And in this peace treaty, we see China is looking like the Qing dynasty. Laos and Cambodia and China gets a good part of Vietnam. China is annexed this northern island and Taiwan, and gets a puppet state up here, and Kazakhstan becomes a puppet state. Finland annexed, I think, a bit more land than they have before World War II, and a puppet state up here, and I'm pretty sure this area have nukes, so they're on nuclear power now. And yeah, that's all for today, but this is the first non-Minecraft related video I have made, and it's because my Model D broke. My cat broke the code, and I got a death adder, a Razer death adder essentials, and I could afford it, and the code was a bit harder, so I thought it could survive for what bit, but it broke the first day. So I will still do some Minecraft videos, but mainly mapping videos until Christmas and I get my new mouse. So yes, with my